How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. We've got a lot to talk about today. It is Fast Lane Sunday. That means that WWE has got their final show on the road to WrestleMania. So we're going to run down the full card here. The pre-show is on as we speak, and 2 matches scheduled for the pre-show today. The New Day versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev, as well as Rey Mysterio versus Andrade, both on the pre-show. 7 other matches on the main card. Top matches, the Reunited Shield yet again. Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley. And, of course, the main event of the show, the women, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch. If Becky Lynch wins, it will be a 3-way at WrestleMania. If she loses, they claim no more chances. I'll preview all of these matches here on the show today. We've also got notes on the death of Wally Yamaguchi, who was a very important person in the Japanese wrestling scene, and also did a very, very stereotypical character during the Monday Night Wars. We could talk about his passing. Talked a lot about it last night on Wrestling Observer Radio with Dave Meltzer, who was a good friend of his. Luke Harper has made his return. For comedy purposes, we have got a look at the WWE do's and don'ts. And this is not what we say their do's and don'ts are. This is what they say their do's and don'ts are. We'll go over those today. Plus, if you want to talk about last night's UFC, Derek Lewis, Jr. Dos Santos in the main event. Very, very fun show last night. We could talk about that here as well. 844-411-5411 is the phone number, toll free. 844-411-5411. Text messages, 425-780-7566. All these numbers up on the front page of WrestlingObserver.com. Mike Sempervive joins us after the break. Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. We've got a lot to get into here today, including the Fast Lane preview. It's actually on right now on the WWE Network if you want to check it out. We're going to be watching it live. I'm loaded up, firing it up right now. We got 2 matches coming up here on this pre-show. There's also, of course, the panel and everything like that. So, long story short, when Dave was hoping that Andrade and Rey Mysterio was going to get a lot of time here on the pre-show, not thinking that's going to happen. But, you know, I have been wrong before. Maybe they'll get 18 minutes, but my guess is, as we do the show here today, that they're not going to be getting 18 minutes. Mike, are you looking forward to this show?
Sure. Can't wait to see what the reaction is going to be after this Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch match, more than anything else. That's what I'm looking forward to. With some of the other stuff, obviously, moves things forward. This is forget about a fast lane. It's a bump in the road on the way to WrestleMania, an inconvenient pay-per-view / special event that they're having just because they feel the need to have one. They rushed a bunch of matches, created a bunch of them last week, and here we are. And it's a way to get to where they're going. Hasn't been an awe-inspiring way to do it leading into tonight, but we'll just take this one and move on to tomorrow with Raw, and off we go.
All right, so here is the lineup for the show here tonight. The pre-show, Rey Mysterio and Andrade, and the New Day versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev. For the main show, we've got the Revival versus Aleister Black and Ricochet versus Chad Gable, Bobby Roode for the Raw Tag Team titles. Charlotte versus Becky. If Becky wins, it will be a 3-way at WrestleMania. If not, she's out. For good. For real this time, they claimed. Shield versus Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. Asuka, Mandy Rose for the SmackDown Women's title. Boston Hug Connection, the most horrific name, versus Nia Jax and Tamina for the women's titles, tag team titles. Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens for the WWE title. And the Usos versus The Miz and Shane McMahon. And yes, we are in the Miz's hometown. So, what happens, everybody? Is Shane turning on The Miz? That's what I think's happening. A lot of people seem to think that The Miz is turning. So, what's everyone's prediction? What do you think's happening?
I think the chain is turning because it's in Cleveland, because the Miz and everything else. I don't see how you go ahead and do this and have Shane be the bad guy at WrestleMania. I don't know. I like this. I like this thing with The Miz right now, especially with the show coming back on with his announcement of Maurice being pregnant again. I guess you could turn the tables and have him smack his father and say, "I can't believe you were never proud of me until I won a championship. This is completely ridiculous." And I can see The Miz doing that and turning on his dad, but I've been sold by you over the last couple of weeks, and I'm fine with Shane turning on The Miz, leading their match at WrestleMania.
So the odds for that match, by the way, not that these matter all that much, but the odds here, minus 825 for the Usos. They're the heaviest favorites on the show, which would mean they're heavier favorites than Becky. She's only minus 565. And the Roman Reigns, the Shield, they're minus 600. So I guess everybody's figuring one of these dudes is turning on the other. And I do expect that to happen. And like I said, I expect it to be Shane. We'll see. I see Shane beating up the Miz's dad or something dastardly there. Guy could use a good beating according to the storylines. Never gave his son any love. Well, now he's going to pay.
Plus, I wonder, as we go into WrestleMania and out of it, I still think Shane is going to be around. I could be wrong about that, but I believe Shane will still be around. Stephanie's certainly still going to be around. But I don't think Vince is going to be around. And you need a heavy playing McMahon. And we'll have to see what happens with Triple H here and see how he's received leading into the match with Batista and everything else, and how Stephanie plays the Ronda, Becky, Charlotte situation to see how she is. But we haven't seen Shane as a bad guy in a long, long time, and I think that could be a different dynamic. And assuming he's going to stay around, which I believe that he is, I mean, he's going to have to do something, so why not take that approach with him? I'd be fine with that.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Ryan, I think you're...
How did I know it was you? Don't ask a stupid question today, Ryan, because I know I've heard that you call... I've heard you call other shows and you don't ask stupid questions. I've heard you call this show and I'm not on and you don't ask stupid questions. So let's not ask a stupid question today.
Oh, I don't know about that.
What's your question?
Well, Brian, I'm going to actually agree with you and say that the reason why The Miz is to be the babyface is because he has a daughter now, and the reason why I know that is because Bob Backlund sold me a book last night where he talks about how he didn't want to be a heel during the Hulkamania era because his daughter was growing up, and it's bad, for the daughter to see you on television as a heel.
That's right.
But Ryan, here's the thing. I know how I can prove that wrong. We're doing video now at f4wonline.com, and Brian's a heel all the time. And
shut up!
To suffer with
what
that.
else? What else, Ryan? Now you got Mike saying stupid things. It's like an epidemic.
My question's about the Kevin Owens character. He's acting like he's mad at Daniel Bryan for saying he's better than everyone else. That was Kevin Owens' gimmick about a year ago. Said that his wife and son convinced him that he was being a heel and turn him face with all that time he was spending with his family, because that wasn't shown in the bowling video.
That is what happened, Ryan. That's canon. I want to thank you very much for the call. I got a question for everybody. You want to ask some stupid questions? Why does Sam Roberts look like Mark Twain? Can anyone explain this to me?
I don't think he's got that level of talent, but
I just Googled. I was like, what? Who does he look like?
Mark Twain?
And I Googled Mark Twain, and in fact, he's starting to look like Mark Twain with that bizarre facial hair and whatever he's doing with his hair on his head.
Well,
looks like Mark Twain. I'm gonna tweet a picture out. I'm gonna ask the people. That's what I'm gonna do. So anyway, if you want to give us a call here today, whenever Ryan calls, like the other people in the line stop calling because they're like, oh dear God, that's what I have to follow. Well, the answer is yes, and you can do better. So give us a call here today and let us know what you think about all of these stories here. By the way, the death of Wally Yamaguchi, we talked a lot about this last night on the show. Former WWE, WWF manager of Kaientai. That's how he is known here in the U.S., but a major figure in the Japanese pro wrestling business. Only 60 years old. He had a stroke last year. Passed away after a lengthy illness. Had been ill on and off for a long time. Grew up as one of the individuals behind the Mil Mascaras fan club. And was a major player during the heyday of Japanese pro wrestling magazines. Gong magazine, which was huge in the 80s and 90s. Had a hand in starting FMW. key figure earlier in the career of Gedo, who is now the booker of New Japan, very close to the Baba family, All Japan Pro Wrestling, till that all kind of fell apart in the late 80s. Had a ring in his house. Many of the younger wrestlers trained at all sorts of wrestling memorabilia. Key player in the Japanese coverage of wrestling in The Observer during that period, very close with virtually every major star that came from the U.S. He spoke perfect English. Part of his role with the magazine and different companies was to make sure American talents' tours were as much fun as possible. Unless you were Dave Meltzer, then he made you suffer so that you would understand. Kaientai. Choppy Choppy Pee Pee. Many of you probably remember that. Revolving around Val Venus, which apparently he loved. He loved the role, according to Dave. His older brother he is the older brother of Shun Yamaguchi, who is one of the 95 commentators that they have for WWE pay-per-views. During the show, they go one by one by one by one by one by one by one, and they all welcome us in their language so that we know that they have 95 different people calling the action, all better than the American announce team. So, sadly, Mr. Yamaguchi has passed away.
Man, so he got another part of his family and a member of his stable in Funaki paid by WWE for an incredibly long time. Maybe the longest legacy of getting somebody paid of anybody ever, because, man, when did they debut? 1997, 1998, and still to this day, Funaki's got a job with him. And
I don't think Funaki has a job with him right now.
Oh, really? I thought he was still doing announcing or something like that. I guess not. Guess we'll wait for the roll call of announcers tonight and see if he's there. But just a really legendary career and did a lot in Japan.
All right, back in a moment with more Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Yes, Funaki is still doing commentary for WWE pay-per-views, but as far as like his wrestling contract that he had for like 30 years, that is gone. It's not happening anymore.
Still, man, continuous employment there for the E.
All right, let's go to the phones here on the air. What's going on?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. Hi, Bryan and Mike. I understand the Destroyer recently passed away. First off, rest in peace to Wally Yamaguchi. I'm sorry for his passing. But I wanted to ask and get your thoughts, and even Mike too, on the Destroyer, and I'll take your answers off the air. Thanks for your time.
All right, well, thank you very much for the call. We actually talked about the Destroyer, my personal memories of the Destroyer, on the show on Friday when I went to the King of Indies in 2001, and we hung out with him. I don't know if hung out with him. Well, I guess we did hang out with him, but I mean, it wasn't just me and him, but met him there. He was a nice guy, you know. I don't really have a ton of memories of the Destroyer. I met him very, very briefly. I saw him at Cauliflower Alley all the time, and we always said hi, and usually always had his mask on, and as Dave noted, he wasn't moving around too well, but he was there pretty regularly. He was always a pretty cool guy, and I heard from people out at, I guess where was he working? What school was he working at? I don't even remember. But anyway, they said he was just like totally beloved. I'll see if I can find the email here as you go over your thoughts.
The high school he was at or whatever, but yeah, I mean, he was way before my time as a wrestler and everything, but the legend of him was certainly one that I knew about. One, because of like pictures in old magazines, seeing him at the table with the family, and they all have masks on. It was just absolutely, it was one of the coolest shots. I don't know if it was from the Wrestler, Inside Wrestling, the Ring magazine. I can't remember, but if anybody can find that shot, it is just awesome with them all like sitting around, like, the kitchen table, and even the baby and the dog have masks on. It's just fantastic. But he would be one of those guys that would hold court at the Cauliflower Alley Club and was always pretty jovial. Nobody's got a bad word to say about him. And what he was able to do in Japan for foreign wrestlers was amazing. I guess Billy Robinson may have been the first pure fan favorite as a foreigner to be over there, but the Destroyer losing to Baba and then being quote-unquote forced to stay in the country and then becoming a beloved legend. I mean, he, like we talked about on the show with Dave last Thursday on Observer Live, talking about the Destroyer, he went from wrestling against the Japanese as the Japanese were looking for revenge on the Americans, looking for revenge against the Sharp brothers, against Lou Thez, against the Destroyer because of their bad feelings after the war, to becoming a symbol of working with the Americans. The Baba and his family, he moved his whole family there. They grew up there. They learned Japanese. His son to this day has business interests over there. And he became a symbol in the wrestling world of being able to be a unifying force. So his legacy is absolutely unmatched. He is a Hall of Famer of the most epic proportions, no matter what kind it is, whether it be the Observer, WWE, the International Hall of Fame, whichever one you want to choose. Dick Beyer deserves to be there.
So, if you've ever heard the term plans change, well, plans have changed. The Rey Andrade match is off of the pre-show. It has been moved to the main card. They are now in a 4-way with Samoa Joe and Truth with the U.S. title on the line. So, there you go. Now there's only one match here on the pre-show. And it involves a New Day, and Kofi Kingston is not wrestling. So, Kofi's... I'm not too worried about this, but when they did the angle where Kofi was going to get the championship match at Fast Lane, and then Vince McMahon came out and removed him from the match and inserted Kevin Owens, and they had to do the quick couple of weeks to get Kevin Owens over as big as they could for the Bryan match. The idea, obviously, was that Kofi's going to get the championship match at WrestleMania, but they did nothing with Kofi for 2 weeks. And Kofi's not in the match here on this show, and all I hope is that his momentum doesn't come to a screeching halt, because they haven't done anything with the guy for 3 weeks, and I hope he's just as over following this pay-per-view as he was before.
Why not just have him kill someone on this pre-show in like 30 seconds,
Because they wanted a New Day match that he's not in.
I mean, I guess you could do that there, too, but just have him
That's
go
what
out
they're doing.
With Kofi?
No, there's a New Day match on the pre-show, but he's not wrestling. It's Xavier
I'm saying
and Big
that,
E.
But because you've pulled the Andrade match off of there and because you have limited time anyway, you could still have a Kofi match that you could say, well, this is going to replace the other one, and he beats somebody in 30 seconds in a dominant way. This whole rigmarole to get Kofi into the WrestleMania match and skip Fastlane. I mean, this was stupid. This was stupid on the level that they haven't done anything with Kofi for 2 weeks. It's stupid because they put Kevin Owens in a really weird situation, and I think both guys are so over that it really doesn't matter what happens with this storyline. People are still going to react how they're going to them. But this ruined, in some ways, what they were doing, building up Kevin Owens to be that everyman kind of guy. They introduce him in a way where no matter what you think, he is stealing Kofi's spotlight, whether it was because of Vince McMahon or not, and Kevin Owens not having anything to do with it. Tough. It still made everything look bad and made Kevin Owens look bad as a babyface leading into this, and then you're going to sacrifice him because whatever wacky thing you do here, whether he loses clean or whether you have some sort of craptastic finish to get him out of the match, it still gives him an L before this match with Kofi that didn't need to happen. Like, you could have just did Kofi and Daniel Bryan and built to that and not had the stupid match, or at least had Kofi involved with this leading to WrestleMania. The involvement of Kevin Owens just to do it just made no sense to me at all.
I think it's fine. I mean, it was a weird angle because they don't know how to do any angles where Vince inserted him, but he's been a babyface every single week on SmackDown. He's been a big babyface. No one's looking at Kevin Owens as a heel in this situation. It's a weird way to put him in, but he has gotten over as a babyface.
But did it need to be done, and would it have benefited them just to not do that and go a different direction?
Well, what are you going to do?
How really this benefits Kevin Owens at all?
It doesn't benefit Kevin Owens.
Exactly.
Kevin Owens, he was going to get the Mania match. They decided to give him this match instead. I mean, this is the exact same thing. Listen, This is just like Ronda and Becky in a singles feud, okay? As goofy as this was, I am fine with this because the alternative is we would have had 7 straight weeks to build to WrestleMania with Daniel Bryan and Kofi after Kofi already beat the guy 3 times. And they would have had to come up with some goofy deal to keep this thing going through Fastlane and through WrestleMania. Them taking Kofi out of the picture for 3 weeks, as long as he's still over, come this Tuesday night, everything's going to be fine. At least we had 3 less weeks of them mucking it up.
It's not my job to save them from themselves. So
it's my job
to point out the ridiculous nature of things, and just because you have 7 weeks to lead into something doesn't mean you should do something bad with somebody else because, you're going to screw it up anyway.
Well, first off, we don't even know what they're doing with Kevin Owens. I mean, I don't expect him to win the title, and he's probably going to lose the match here tonight, but I mean, they did do something with the guy. He came back, he got inserted into a program with the champion, he beat the champion in a non-title match. I mean, yeah, he's going to lose to Daniel Bryan, but that's a hell of a way to return. Luke Harper's returning on a house show. We'll find out what they do with him. It's probably not going to be in a championship match with Daniel Bryan in WrestleMania.
No, let's see if he shows up tonight, though. That might be a good way to get Kevin Owens out of this match, and I will say this. If we get Kofi and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, as it looks like we will, that would mean Kevin Owens would need something to do. And I can handle, if they decide to go in this direction, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against maybe Eric Rowan and Luke Harper.
Person says, if WWE wants us to believe Ronda's going off script, shouldn't Vince do the fired, suspended, not in the Mania match deal so Ronnie doesn't hurt Becky or Charlotte? All right, 2 things. First off, I don't ever want to hear Ronnie again. Infuriating.
Rugged Ronnie?
That's number 1. Number 2, this has already been explained ad nauseum. Ronda Rousey, in storyline, makes the company so much money that she is untouchable. She said that on Raw, in fact, to Stephanie McMahon's face, and Stephanie had no rebuttal. Because in storyline, it's true. She is untouchable. She can do whatever she wants because of the amount of money that she makes for the company.
Kind of like Brock. They had this already with Brock.
Person wants to know, is Tom Lawler okay?
Who?
I watched MLW an hour ago. The doctor said he was uncertain when he would recover.
Oh.
So is this Ryan and Cumberland, or who is this?
I don't know.
Yes, Tom is okay.
Fighters heal faster than normal men, and Tom Lawler, fighter.
Person says, I would prefer that Shane turn heel. Not only has it been almost 13 years since we've seen a heel Shane.
There you go.
But Shane, like Vince, was better as a heel. Heel Shane perfectly portrayed that cocky scumbag type of character people would love to pay to watch someone knock his teeth down his throat. Maybe.
Mean Street Posse,
Listen,
EC3, let's do this.
All I know is a couple of years ago, I went on this big tirade trying to figure out why everybody always wanted Shane McMahon to return. Baffling to me. Why, I said. What is it about Shane? Why do people love Shane and want him back? It was literally, I swear to God, it was like the next day, if I recall. Shane McMahon made his mystery surprise return to Raw, and he was mega over. And you know what? He was mega over for like 2 years afterwards. Kind of has slowed down a little bit because I think people are sick of seeing him out there killing himself. But the point is, I don't know if he's going to be better off as a heel than a babyface. He was super over as a babyface, to my chagrin. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. So, during the break, Kofi Kingston is out there, and the New Day is getting ready to head to the ring for the match, which is starting right now. Rusev and Nakamura versus the New Day.
Look at his hair.
Some robot came up to him and said, Kofi, the McMahon family would request that you come to their office to talk about the WWE Championship match. And he was all excited. And, of course, the idiot announcers were like, oh, my God, maybe he's going to be added to the championship match later. So now we have to wait to find out what the McMahon family is really going to do to Kofi. And my guess is he's not going to be in the championship match later. But the generic robot got me thinking about something here today. So the Tampa Bay Times, they were, I guess, at the WrestleMania 36 announcement press conference, and WWE handed out a list of WWE do's and don'ts. They published them. These are the do's and don'ts of WWE. This is not from Wrestling Observer, Bryan Alvarez. This is from WWE. This is their do's and don'ts according to them. When referring to our talent, we ask that you refer to them as WWE superstars, both for the men and women, and not, in all caps, as, quote, professional wrestlers. As of March 2016, our female superstars are no, capital N-O, longer referred to as WWE divas. So please call them WWE superstars. I have no idea why no had to be in all caps. Please refer to our company as WWE in not all caps, World Wrestling Entertainment. You hear that? You're not allowed to call them World Wrestling Entertainment because the word wrestling is in World Wrestling Entertainment. You must refer to them as WWE. Please do not, capital N-O-T, use the term, quote, professional wrestling. Ugh. Instead, using WWE or sports entertainment to describe our brand. And in case you're an absolute moron, they give an example here. Quote, we have many WWE fans in the Tampa area, quote, or, quote, I have always been a fan of sports entertainment. They want you... it's not... Do you understand what I'm saying, everybody? They want you to stop saying, I'm a wrestling fan. They want you to use the term, and this is a direct quote here, this verbiage, I have always been a fan of sports entertainment. That's what they want you to say. Not how they want you to refer to this or that or the other thing. They want you to say that. If you're writing an article in the Tampa Tribune, and you're writing about how WrestleMania is coming, and I am so excited, they want you to not say, I've been a fan of wrestling since I was 5 years old. You must say, I have always been a fan of sports entertainment.
Oh, man, I remember going down to the Fort Hesterly Armory down there when Eddie Graham was promoting Florida Championship Sports Entertainment, and I remember Dusty Rhodes out there, and he would be wrestling around with guys like with Bill Watts and with Gary Hart, and I remember when he turned, and that was the sports entertainment that I grew up with. That's the sports entertainment that I fell in love with. That's why I'm such a sports entertainment fan today.
Hey, the WWE Championship or the WWE title are appropriate names for the title.
We ain't strapping and belting around
It is
here.
not called a, quote, belt or a, quote, strap.
Strap.
So let me read that again because I got to hammer home. The WWE Championship or WWE title are appropriate names. So if you use the term belt or strap, my friends, that is inappropriate. Keep that in mind.
Demerits.
Let's go to the telephone. You're on the air. What's up?
Hey, Brian. Mike, how you doing this evening?
What's going on? I hope you listen to the rules before you ask these questions.
Okay. I listen to. Well, what are they going to do when they have a real big match and it's real good and the fans start chanting, this is wrestling?
That's inappropriate, Jim. Did you not listen to the rules? You must chant, this is sports entertainment.
I don't think they'll say that.
You're probably right. Maybe when I go to WrestleMania, they'll have a handout at the door. Appropriate and inappropriate chants.
Who do you think's going to win between Nia Jax and Tamina?
Bayley and Sasha.
Bayley and Sasha.
Bayley and Sasha. You kidding?
So?
Are you kidding me, Jim? Yes.
Now, I'm looking forward to Becky and Charlotte real much because I think what's going to happen, I think it's going to be some kind of screwed up finish. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. I think that Charlotte is winning. She's getting her hand raised one way or the other tonight.
Oh, Mike, you were talking about the Ring Wrestling magazine earlier. I remember that when I was growing up. That was a real good wrestling magazine. Whatever happened to it?
Well, the Ring ended up going through a couple of incarnations, but in the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s, they stopped dealing with wrestling altogether and kind of let that go to the Western magazines like the Wrestler and Inside Wrestling, and then later on Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and the Ring just ended up concentrating only on boxing, and It went through a couple of owners. And it still exists today. I can't remember who owns it. I think it's actually Golden Boy that actually owns it to this day.
By the way, there was a sighting of the Miz's father. He is not in the crowd, my friends. He's backstage with Miz and Shane McMahon. Trouble is coming. He's going to accompany them to the ring, it looks like. I can only hope.
Man, so I tell you what, I see the sign in the background there, and I expect somebody to point at it tonight. When are they going to rename it Sports Entertainment Mania?
Never, but they're gonna require you call the show WM.
Or Mania. See, that when's it going to go through somebody's going to put it through a rebranding at some point down the line, and it's just going to be WWE's Mania. It'll be Mania weekend. Everything will be about Mania. The same way they drop first and last names off of guys randomly, that's what it's going to be. It's just going to be Mania from at some point down the line here.
This person here notes Shane's already sweating. It is disconcerting.
What color
did
is
notice
he right
that.
now?
He's a weird color and he's sweating. And they were just standing there backstage. He wasn't even doing anything.
That's like people want me to wrestle you and take on your open channel challenge for the Texarkana title.
It'd be the end of you on this show. You'd be in the ICU.
I'm only shooting you with
on
real
the way
bullets,
to the ring.
pal. That's why I'm shooting you with real bullets. I'm not taking that walk. Forget that.
Person says, I wouldn't admit to going off script if I said screw the woo on TV. That's the time to throw the writers under the bus. I've tried to explain this to you people before. Listen to me. This weird stuff that Rhonda says, that's her. That's how she talks. That's not the writers. It's weird. Her and her husband both. They, as Dave once noted, they have their own language. So you can't blame the writers for that. That's Rhonda. She may have been shooting when she made that stupid line. And this person also wants to know if you heard about the guy that almost got eaten and spat out by a whale. Yes.
What?
I do know that story.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on? I was going to make a Bible joke, but...
Should have.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Mike. It's John from Arkansas.
Hope you're not sweating.
Speaking of the Bible.
Yeah, no kidding. You know me. I'm all about that. Heard those rules. I can tell you one thing unequivocally, that there's no way on earth that I would ever acquiesce to any of that foolishness. And if I did go up there, I would actually call out that foolishness. Then I would probably be thrown off the program, but at least I would have said my piece like I am saying now, because it's freaking stupid.
Wow. Well, duly noted.
I feel better now. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Duly noted. Now he feels better. Wasn't feeling good before that call. Spreaker says, what can WWE do if someone just ignored their dumb list? Well, if you ignore it and you incorrectly write the story, you will never be given press access again, I would presume. That will be the end of you as a press correspondent for WWE, so don't break the rules here.
There are rules. Doesn't anybody play by them anymore?
Chris in Vegas here says, my 6-year-old daughter, Izzy, she has a toy NXT title here. She says, it's a belt! She's 6! Because... my friend, it is a belt. And it is, in fact, a strap. There's a strap on that belt. I hate to tell you. I wonder if Vince got strapped as a child or something like that. Remember he's always talking about his dad was such a horrible guy? I wonder if his dad was like, get the belt, pal! You're about to get strapped! And now to this day, Vince cannot use belt or strap. Listen, I'm not the one that talked about what a terrible father was. Vince did. I'm just trying to make sense of all of this.
Well,
it's ridiculous. Can't say belt or strap. Look at this list.
Well, I mean, look, it's amazing. It's like the whole thing, the whole fake thing this week with Ronda Rousey and Paul Heyman, whoever's facilitating this, and with Colin Jost and with Braun, and to bring it up on the show again and stuff like that. It's like, his daughter has got a bunch of political opportunities, or like did the the educational deal that she had a chance to do. I can't remember exactly what it was, but like there are more avenues open to that family and the generations that are to follow with that family because of the money that he made off the back of professional wrestling / sports entertainment. And even though his wife serves at the White House, even though his daughter is incredibly respected, even though they've crossed over into so many things that he wanted to cross over with, because I guess it's not him, he's going to continue to fight this battle and to fight this urge that he has to just do professional wrestling and not beat these things to death. But as we've talked about, he just can't help himself. It's just amazing that, like, he won, but yet he still can't stop it.
Oh, God. Lana just crotched one of the New Day right in front of the idiot ref, and he didn't do anything about it.
Well,
is that Nick Patrick?
No, it's the bald head dude.
This person says, you need to tell Chris in Vegas start raising his daughter right. Stop using that language. Damn right.
Who'd she beat for a championship opportunity?
This person says, I always thought that winning the Rumble meant a guaranteed title shot. So if Becky loses, does this mean that is negated? Do you know how many times everybody upset about this Royal Rumble being negated with Becky and all this? Everyone, Becky won the Rumble. She's going to main event WrestleMania. What are we talking about here? Not to mention, there's probably been a half dozen times that somebody won the Rumble and either didn't main event WrestleMania or there was some sort of rigmarole and they ended up main eventing WrestleMania. This is it's not even close to the first time. I know you don't like what's going on, but we don't have to make up stupidity about it.
Are you watching the end of this?
I gave up once there was interference in front of the ref and he just stood there.
No sound on this match. The ref's facial expressions and just all of the randomness that has taken place from the failed Lana interference. This thing looks like a mess.
Back in a moment, Observer Live. Well, this pay-per-view is starting right now, everybody, so we will be following it on Twitter, at Bryan Alvarez. You can follow me there for my thoughts throughout the show. Later on tonight, 2 new shows for subscribers at WrestlingObserver.com. Myself and Dave Meltzer will be recapping the show, talking all the news from the weekend. Had another show last night, by the way, and there was yet another show today with Dave and Garrett and Mike Tenay talking the Destroyer. So if you want to check those out, you must subscribe to WrestlingObserver.com. And if you are not a subscriber, you can always head up to our YouTube page. It's linked up on my Twitter, at Bryan Alvarez. F4W Online TV is the link on YouTube. Check it out. It is absolutely free to subscribe. Daily videos up there. Everything you want to know about wrestling. We got breaking news. We got reviews of new and old school shows. All sorts of great stuff up there on the YouTube channel, F4W Online TV on YouTube. Check it out at Bryan Alvarez. Mike is at Sempervive, and we are here live and free every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. New Bryan and Vinny show tonight, talking Fast Lane as well, so if you want to get the recap of the show, 2 shows doing so tonight at WrestlingObserver.com. And, of course, tomorrow, here on this program, we will have the Fallout as well, so you can check that out. Got daily replays as well. You can check out the full lineup at SportsByline.com. That is SportsByline.com. Head up there and check that out. And that is it from me, everybody. I want to thank Mike, as always, callers and listeners, everybody in the studio. Scott, my main man, we'll talk to you again next time. Wrestling Observer Live.